Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to week 2 of our Fine Arts Festival. I am joined here tonight with Nathan and Tori, who just did a workshop on professional interview lighting. So we're just going to be asking them a few quick questions here. And if you have any questions yourself, you can definitely leave them in the comments down below, or we can get you connected with Nathan and Tori. But yeah, they just had a great presentation. We'll link that video somewhere in the description below as well. And yeah, we can just get started here. So yeah, thank you both so much for joining us tonight. Right off the bat, I'll just say that our whole theme for this festival is talking about what the role of art is as we enter this new normal. So I'm wondering if you each would maybe just want to talk about that um, a little bit, what you see, how you see film industry getting back to normal, maybe what had to change during the pandemic, what you think will stick around, what's going to go back to sort of the way things were before, anything sort of in that
Mhm.
category.
Sure, yeah. I can go first. Um, I know, so Nathan and I, we work at Lightmark Creative. Definitely a lot of projects had to change. One of our clients, we started doing a lot of remote interviews. We had to send out like a camera tripod and a microphone that works with their phones, and we would set up a meeting, meet with them over Zoom. They would set up their camera, we would direct them how it should be set up, and getting the right lighting, the right background, all that over Zoom, and they would just record themselves over the phone and send us the footage. It's that's pretty cool. Things have definitely gotten a lot like back to normal now. We've had some shoots, we're all vaccinated, and yeah, things are definitely getting back to normal. But I think that was a cool way to kind of still be able to shoot, even despite we were all working from home and all that, we were still able to make video. And like with those interviews, we would still use like stock footage or like footage we already had. So yeah, we definitely got creative with it, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, going along with that, um, I think the biggest thing is just like everyone started using Zoom. Everyone started kind of doing the teleconference and stuff, and so people started noticing, oh, I gotta have a good position for my video. Gotta have a good mic. Gotta have good lighting, and they start realizing how much goes into making video. Um, so I feel like when we're approaching clients, a lot of them now understand like, oh yeah, video actually takes a lot of work to do to make it look good. Um, within also with working with clients, I think what you're going to see more often than not is more interviews, more user generated content because people have started using their phones more and realizing that, sometimes I don't need to hire a full film crew. I can just make it myself. And so I feel like we're entering more ads and more product videos and reviews where it's filmed by a user instead of a crew being sent out to film stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. And that sort of leads into another question that I have. I'm wondering if you uh, both have any advice for people who maybe are just getting into filmmaking, but maybe don't have a ton of equipment yet. Any advice that you would have for, sort of filmmaking on a budget, like tricks that you can do with lighting or iPhone, or just like really basic stuff that you might have around the house for filmmaking, sort of on a budget.
Yeah, I can go first. There's definitely a lot you can do, I think. The iPhones now, they have great cameras on them. Even other Android phones, a lot of them shoot in high definition, and you can, if that's all you have, use what you have. That would be, I think, my biggest advice. Natural lighting from a window um, can be just as good. Uh, I think too, just in general, one of my biggest advice is go on YouTube. There's so much like content out there to actually learn from professionals for free. I think I had to do that a lot and still do sometimes, when I know something or how to make a certain edit or how I want to get this specific look. Just learning from others and continuing to do so, even with just a phone or whatever you have. Use what you got.
Yeah, going along with that, I think I'm constantly going back to YouTube, even now, just to learn about a new topic, a new thing that I didn't know about. So I feel like YouTube's a great source. But then when you're starting to film, like Tori said, an iPhone is a great resource because it's going to give you, um, it's better than what a lot of people started out with like 6 or 7 years ago, which is just incredible that everyone has access to better cameras than they did like 7 years ago, and it's in their pocket. Um, but for lighting, natural lighting is usually the best. Shoot during the day or at sunset or sunrise. That's going to give you the best looks. But at the core of it, you don't need great equipment to have a great film. I think it comes back to story. And if you have a really captivating story that's well told, that's going to hook in your audience much more than the equipment you have.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like YouTube is just it's wild how much is on there and like how much really good quality stuff is on there. I mean,
Mhm.
like there's definitely just a ton of stuff, but like really, really good stuff as well. Yeah, Jess, do you have any questions that you wanna ask?
One question I had was that throughout the film you were referencing half frost and half grid, and I don't know if you ever explained what that was and what the two things you were comparing. So can you talk a little bit more about what the half frost was and the half grid was?
Yes. I don't know the exact company, but they're popular diffusion types used in the film industry, where half frost is a more translucent material that light can pass through a little bit easier. And there's quarter frost, half frost, full frost. And so the frost is like the kind of the type of the material, and then the quarter, half, and full is how like dense the material is. And then half grid is a grid material that is usually a bit more thicker and has the same, like, could be quarter grid, half grid, full grid.
Gotcha. Cool, thanks. My other question was, I'm trying to remember what I was thinking. It's something about shadow. I think just like in general, I know for like taking portraits, there's a whole light setup too, like for photography. I've heard often it's like all about the jaw, like the jawline and trying to get shadow like underneath the face to like accentuate the face. So I don't know, like, maybe you can share if you have like any portrait photography experience, and then like how or why video light setup like can differ from what you're trying to achieve through like mainly portraits. I'll just like keep it at that, like portrait photography, and why that's so different than video setup, or why it could be the same, I guess.
That's a good question. I think I can say I don't have great experience with portraits. I've had people ask me to take like family portraits or like family photos, and I'll do it, but I found it completely different than actually doing video setup. Um, I think that's in my experience. I don't know, Nate. Do you have anything else?
Mhm.
Animal.
Um, I think I think for setting up the key light, it's very similar because it's all about the face. And I think when you're just speaking solely about lighting a face, it's very similar. I feel like where you kind of are trying to create the same lines and trying to accent the best features of someone's face. But I think where video really is different is you're really trying to I think also accent the background and the midground of the person. And so I feel like for that, it kind of it's a little bit different. But then also, I think the biggest difference is film usually is moving, and so because of that, you have to light the scene differently so they can move or live within it more. That's just my take.
Yeah, that makes sense. Last question I had was, like Tori a little bit earlier mentioned in the video, like oh, I think that was like a mistake I made starting out or something like that with one of the setups. And that kind of made me think of like, what are some other like common mistakes, especially for like, people just trying out or like young student filmmakers with lighting. So I think one of them that was mentioned was like putting that light like straight in front, because there's no shadow, there's no depth, and it can flatten your subject. So that's one, but maybe like a couple other mistakes in lighting setup that you've seen commonly.
That's a good question. I think I used to think backlights were only supposed to shine like on the backdrop, but I think backlights you can use in so many different ways. Um, I think a big mistake too, especially for beginners, can be just be like, oh, I need light, and just putting up a light anywhere, not thinking about where you're putting it. When you could really easily like watch a quick YouTube tutorial or look up, how to light a scene correctly and get some good ideas of like what you want to do with it. Because I think it is, if you have like a strong intention with how you light a scene for video, it can really bring the video quality up a lot higher.
Okay, for lighting, I think the biggest one I see is using overhead lights. It creates raccoon shadows underneath your eye. And so if you're ever in a room, I've seen so many films where they just turn on the overhead lights and it just looks horrible because it flattens out the person's face and also just the whole background. And so the person just feels like they mesh into the whole scene. And so using top lights is one big mistake I've seen. And then what was the other one? Oh yeah, the other one is not letting your key light spill onto the background. And so it's a very similar effect where if your key light's pointing at your subject and you're not flagging it, which means putting something in front of it so it blocks the light shining in the background, then you're just going to get a flat image because all that light is spilling onto the background. You're smiling, Jess. Oh, is there was Sparrow?
He got me. He got me that time.
Is he biting you?
Yeah, no, not hard.
But just a little
Just a little
nibbles.
bit. Thank you. That's really helpful. I gotta head out now, but thank you. Thank you, Ryan, for doing this. You guys seem to have like a really good lineup for July, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Should be good. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Have a good night.
Eat my sandwich. Good night. Good job.
See ya.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will just ask two final questions here, and then I think we'll call it a night. So last two questions I have. What is a film that you've seen in the past year or so that had really great lighting, or even just like a moment in a film that was like, oh, that was really cool how they did that?
I've been watching a lot of shows recently. I can't think of one specific moment, but I know when I've watched Umbrella Academy, they had really great lighting techniques and use of color, like color and lighting. I really enjoyed watching that show just for the cinematography and like lighting alone. Um, yeah, I'd have to say that one.
Okay, here's my serious but funny answer, and I have another answer. First one is Riverdale. I think it has actually amazing cinematography and lighting, especially in the first season. I'm always impressed when I watch it. And then my serious answer is 1917.
Oh,
I was not expecting to be so engaged by a single shot, but it was just phenomenal. It was so good. And then I think one lighting setup that I just was blown away was there's a scene later in the movie where they're running through the city at night and it's all lit up by fire. And well, fire, quote unquote, and it's done amazingly.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like there's just so much content out now that it's hard to even choose just one. Let's see. All right, and final question for you both is just what advice would you give to current college students who are interested in studying film? It could be advice just sort of about filmmaking in general or directly about lighting. Just some, yeah, advice for students?
I can start here. I'd say don't stop with your classes. So don't stop making films. How do I say this? Like if you're only making films for your classes, you got to do more. Like if you want to grow as a filmmaker, you need to be making films out of class. You need to be making films just in your free time. You gotta live and breathe it. Because if you only stop making films after your class is done, like you're gonna be what's the best way to put it? You got to go beyond your classes to become better at filmmaking.
That's a good one, Nate. I think mine's similar. Similar, it goes along those same lines, but I think it's taking as many opportunities as you can to go shoot something or do something related to film. I think even if it's unpaid work, like go try to get on a set, try to be a PA, ask if people need a videographer for something. Just getting your hands on the camera and shooting, because that's where I've been able to grow the most and gain the most experience by just taking on opportunities wherever I could see them. And then from there you get to network and make more connections, then usually more opportunities come along. So I think it's just really seeking out those opportunities, doing more.
Yeah, going along with that, I think one moment in my film career where like I feel like you learn the most is like you go along on those shoots, you help out, you ask to be a part of shoots, and you're working with someone else, and it's going well, and then you do. I feel like you don't know what you don't know until you do it by yourself, and then you get put into a situation where it's sink or swim, and I feel like those are the moments you learn the most in. It's like, am I creating something great, or is this going to be bad? And I feel like in those moments, I've made my best work, and also my worst.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's some great advice. Yeah, well, that'll conclude our Q&A here. Yeah, a reminder again, just to definitely go check out the video. If you're watching, you didn't see that before this Q&A, go back and watch the professional interview lighting workshop video on our YouTube channel. There'll probably be a link down below. Where can people contact the two of you or get in touch if they have any other questions, or if they maybe want to reach out to you to film a project for them, or something? What's the best way to stay in touch?
Reach out to Lightmark Creative, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you want to work with us, reach out to Lightmark Creative. And if you just have an individual question, best ways to reach me on probably Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, same.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you again both so much for hosting our workshop this week. And we hope to see everybody else watching. Tune in next week. We have week 3 of the Fine Arts Festival. Sophie Linnell is going to be doing an art and design workshop, and you can see our full schedule for the rest of the festival at Gordon.edu/fineartsfest. We'll have recordings too of all the workshops up on our YouTube channel. Yeah, have a great summer, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.